Hello everyone! Last week we did the first part of Maiev's storyline in which we talked about the War of the Ancients, Illidan's betrayal and imprisonment, and the formation of the Watchers. Nearly 10,000 years later, after the War of the Ancients, the Burning Legion had returned to Azeroth and Tyrande decided to let Illidan out of his prison so he could help in their fight. Illidan's Stormrage did help in his own way of course, by absorbing the skull of Gul'dan and taking out the Dreadlord Tychondrius. Malfurion and Tyrande disagreed with Illidan's actions and he was banished from their lands. A few months after the battle for Mount Hyjal, Gul'dan, he found Illidan and he offered him a deal.
Illidan, in the past you have been both friend and foe to the Burning Legion. But by consuming the skull of Gul'dan, you sealed our defeat in this world. I come to offer you a second chance to serve us.
What would you have me do, Great One?
My creation, the Lich King, has betrayed me. He dared to break the pact that binds him to my will. But his spirit still lies trapped inside the frozen throne of Icecrown. Destroy it for me, and I will grant you your heart's desire.
So Illidan at this point, he wants to destroy the Lich King, and to help him with this mission, he summons the Naga from the depths of the ocean, as well as allying himself with the Satyrs. The Naga and the Satyrs, they both used to be highborn in the service of Queen Azshara, and they're now working together with Illidan. Naturally, the Warden Maiev is not happy that her prisoner is roaming about, so the hunt is on.
These tracks are fresh, but they split off in opposite directions. Illidan must be getting help from someone.
Your orders, mistress.
You Watchers split up into two parties. Scour the woods. Find what you can. We'll meet you further up the coast. Remember, sisters, if you find Illidan, do not attempt to take him without the rest of us. He is far too dangerous to tackle alone.
Must be burned. The Master doesn't wish to be followed.
I cannot allow Illidan to escape again. We must slay those Naga before they burn the ships.
You are too late, little Warden. The Master has already set sail for distant shores. However, he wished to thank you for the hospitality you provided during his imprisonment. He asked us to repay you in kind.
Maiev and her troops are able to stop the Naga from destroying all the ships, and they follow Illidan all the way to the Broken Isles. These isles used to be part of the Night Elf Kingdom before the Well of Eternity imploded and sent it all to the bottom of the sea. Later, the area would be used by the Guardian H-Wind to seal away the remains of the Avatar of Sargeras. She locked it away behind magic so strong that none on Azeroth would be able to break it, but H-Wind didn't count on magic from a different planet. When the first Orcish horde invaded, the Orc Gul'dan, he stepped away from the horde. He was in search of more power. He knew that the Tomb of Sargeras was out there, and he raised the Broken Isles and entered the tomb. All he found inside was his own demise, yet the tomb remained with more powerful artifacts inside. That's why Illidan went in there to collect the Eye of Sargeras, and he wanted to use this artifact to power his spell and destroy the Lich King from a distance. As Maiev ventures through the Isles, she encounters an old orc named Drakful, who's haunted by the ghost of his past. After taking care of these ghosts, Drakful explains what Gul'dan had done and that he was part of Gul'dan's crew. Maiev left the orc behind, stating that she wished that she hadn't cleared the ghost, since Drakful, for his actions, he deserved a far worse fate. Inside the tomb, runes written down in Gul'dan's own blood. They explained what he was trying to do, how his life was ended, but this is not the reason why Maiev is down here. She's on the hunt for Illidan, and she will let nothing stand in her way, not Lady Vashj and her Naga, not the guardians of the tomb, not even the skeletons of the past.
So, Warden Shadowsong, you've made it at last. I knew you would.
You have much to pay for, Illidan. I'm taking you back to your cell.
Naivete does not suit you. When I consumed the power of Gul'dan's skull, I inherited his memories, especially those of this place, and the dark prize he coveted.
Yes, the power of Sargeras. You would claim it as your own.
That power is beyond my reach, little Warden. But this, the Eye of Sargeras, contains all the power I'll need to rid this wretched world of my enemies once and for all. Ironic that you should be its first victim.
You're insane.
Isolation can do that to the mind. Now, after all the long centuries you kept me chained in darkness, it is only fitting that I bury you in turn.
Stormrage and warn him of his brother's treachery. My power will allow me to escape, but I fear there is no way out for the rest of you.
Go, Mistress. The goddess will light our path to the hereafter.
I will not forget you, my sisters. You will be avenged. I swear it.
Naisha and several others are forced to stay behind as Maiev blinks away out of the tomb. She realizes that Archdruid Malfurion has to be warned, has to be informed about what his twin brother has done. But before they can do anything, the Naga attack. A runner sent out by Maiev as she tries to hold down the line, praying that Malfurion will reach them in time, and as luck would have it, he and Tyrande, they save the day.
Illidan be praised. I knew you would come, Shando Stormrage.
I'm glad we reached you in time, Maiev.
Priestess Tyrande, I'm surprised you came in person. Are you here to absolve your guilty conscience?
I did what I had to do, Maiev. You are in no position to judge me.
What you did was murder my watchers and set the betrayer free. It is you who should be locked in a cage.
Stop this, both of you! We're not out of danger yet. Maiev, what's the situation here?
There are no resources left in this area, Shando. We'll need to find a gold mine if we're to marshal more troops for an assault on Illidan's compound.
Very well. Let's get moving then.
Maiev shows a lot of respect for Malfurion, but not so much for Tyrande. This possibly goes back to the War of the Ancients, where Tyrande was chosen as a leader over Maiev, but liberating Illidan out of his prison also didn't help. Tyrande realizes that she made a mistake by liberating Illidan, and she tries to confront him, but the betrayer, he's able to escape, and he sets sail to the lands of Lordaeron. Right behind him are the Night Elves that are trying to capture him, and as Malfurion goes off to communicate with the land, Tyrande and Maiev, they try to pick up Illidan's trail. Along the way, they come across Kilfa's Sunstrider, Prince of the Blood Elves, formerly known as High Elves. His people have been nearly exterminated by the Undead Scourge, and he's trying to get his people and the caravan to a safer place.
Then we shall lend you our aid, young Kale.
Wait, we have no time for this.
Perhaps once your people are safe, you will help us hunt the demon we seek.
It would be an honor, my lady.
Tyrande offers to help him out, which Maiev, of course, she protests. She wants to capture Illidan, not help out some stranger in need. Tyrande will hear none of it. Kills people, the High Elves. They used to be the Highborn, the same Highborn that aided the Night Elves in the War of the Ancients. By helping Kilfas, they can honor that ancient old debt, as well as recruiting his aid once the escort mission is done.
We are wasting time here, Tyrande. We should be out looking for Illidan.
These people need our help, Maiev. Their brethren aided us against the Legion. We will honor that debt now.
The escort mission seems to be going very well until the caravan runs straight into an undead ambush. Tyrande tells Kilfas to get his people across the bridge as she, together with the powers granted by Elune, she will hold the undead back. Despite there being so many undeads, Elune grants her servant the power to hold the line, but the bridge beneath Tyrande's feet, it crumbles and the river takes her away.
Merciful goddess.
We must hurry to save her. That current will take her straight into the heart of the undead lands.
No, Kale. Tyrande is a soldier. She knew the risks she took. We have a greater mission to accomplish now, and our time grows short. Your people are now safe. You will uphold your end of the bargain and help me hunt the demon I seek.
Maiev is obsessed with hunting down Illidan, and she will let nothing stand in her way. In the meantime, Malfurion, he's granted a vision showing him what Illidan's magic is doing. His spell is not only going to destroy the Lich King, it will also do some severe damage to the land of Northrend and possibly the rest of the world. He has to be stopped and quickly as well, so Maiev and Kil'Thuzad, as they return to base, Maiev gives Malfurion the news.
Maiev, we've got to move quickly. Illidan is weaving a spell that is splitting apart the roof of the world. We must... Wait. Where is Tyrande?
I'm sorry, Shondo, but the priestess has fallen. We aided a band of Alliance warriors against the undead. The priestess fought valiantly, but I saw her torn apart with my own eyes.
Torn apart? Tyrande, my heart. I should have been there.
You can still avenge her, Shondo. Let us attack Illidan together. He is the reason we even came to this forsaken place. He is the reason for your loss. Shondo, this is Prince Kil'Thuzad, the ally I spoke of.
Greetings, Great Druid. My scouts have confirmed that this Illidan and his vile snakes are based at the ruined city of Dalaran. They are using a gem-like artifact to perform some strange ritual.
They must be using the Eye of Sargeras. But why would they strike at the roof of the world?
It doesn't matter. They won't live long enough to finish their spell. Illidan must be stopped once and for all.
Maiev lied about what happened to Tyrande. That's how far she was willing to go to capture Illidan. But the truth would soon be revealed as they finally captured the betrayer.
Illidan Stormrage, for recklessly endangering countless lives and threatening the very balance of the world. I hereby sentence you to death.
Too much blood has been spilled on your account, Illidan. Even now, I can feel the lands of Northrend reeling from the spell you cast. Imprisonment will not be enough this time.
I will execute him myself.
Fools! Can you not see? The spell we channeled was meant to strike at the undead, our common enemy. My mission was to destroy the Lich King's stronghold of Ice Crown.
And no heed to the cost! Because of you, Tyrande is dead!
What? Your pardon, Lord Stormrage, but the priestess may still be alive. She was swept downriver, but it's premature to simply assume
Silence,
that...
Kale.
You told me she was torn apart. You lied to me.
The betrayer's capture was our primary concern, Shondo. I needed your help. I knew you would go to her, and we would lose our chance.
Just who is the betrayer now, woman?
Maiev's lies quickly caught up to her, and Malfurion is furious. Illidan tells his brother that he would never lead Tyrande to harm, so he offers his aid and that of the Naga. The serpents are able to quickly scout the rivers. They find Tyrande just in time, and the Stormrage brothers are able to rescue her. Now Illidan is in a very tight spot, since he was given a clear mission by Gul'dan, which he now had failed. He failed to destroy the Lich King, and pissing off someone like Gul'dan, that's never a good idea. Illidan decides to leave Azeroth behind, hide out in Outlands, but Maiev is not done with him yet.
Farewell, brother. Tyrande. I doubt our paths will cross again. In Shufalana.
Fools! Have you no sense of justice?
Maiev, Illidan has atoned for his crimes. He is no longer a threat to...
It's no use, Tyrande. She has become vengeance itself, bound forever to the hunt. I only pray that in her zeal she doesn't cause even more havoc than Illidan.
Now, let's go home, beloved. We've earned our rest.
Malfurion and Tyrande believe that Illidan has atoned for his sins, but Maiev disagrees. She doesn't believe that saving Tyrande is good enough to dissolve Illidan of his crimes made during the War of the Ancients, of his crimes made when he was released. She steps through the portal, following the betrayer to a whole new world, and the next time that we see her, she has actually managed to capture him. Luckily for Illidan, his allies Lady Vash and Kil'Thuzad, they will not let Maiev get away with her prize. They liberate Illidan, and they capture Maiev in the process.
Lady Vash, your rescue was most timely. The thought of spending another 10,000 years in Maiev's prison was not a pleasant one.
For the longest time, we wouldn't hear a thing about Maiev, as Illidan and his allies, they took over Outland, they teamed up with the Broken Akama, and once again, they received a visit from Gul'dan. He gives them one more chance to destroy the Lich King, but Illidan failed once again. He was defeated in battle by Arthas, and the former Yuma Prince merged together with the Lich King. Arthas, he was in such a rush to reach the top of Icecrown that he didn't finish the job. He left Illidan to die in the snow, but instead of dying, Illidan was dragged back to Outland, where he would wait in the Black Temple with Maiev as his prisoner. Like I said, the world believed Maiev to be dead. We didn't hear a thing about her. That is, until the Burning Crusade.
I prefer to remember the temple as it used to be, not the abomination it has become. My soul bears the burden of my misjudgment, but I have been patient. I have been waiting. And when the time is right, the betrayer will become the betrayed.
The Broken Akama has decided that teaming up with Illidan was not the best plan, and he decides to betray the betrayer with the help of adventurers and Maiev. It's uncertain what events transpired while Maiev was imprisoned. We know that she was tortured, but we don't know to what extent, yet her burning desire for vengeance is as strong as ever. After collecting the Medallion of Karabor, we're ready to team up with the Naru and we assault the Black Temple. We go in together with Akama, the Naru and Maiev to bring down the so-called Lord of Outland.
I have waited for this moment for years! Illidan and his lapdogs will be destroyed.
Maiev is so eager to attack that she rushes on ahead without us, leaving us to deal with the minions. But when our need was greatest, when Illidan was ready to strike us down, Maiev showed up to finish her hunt.
Is this it, mortals? Is this all the fury you can muster?
Their fury pales before mine, Illidan. We have some unsettled business between us.
Maiev, how is it even possible?
Ah, my long hunt is finally over. Today, justice will be done. It is finished. You are beaten.
You have won, Maiev. But the Huntress is nothing without the hunt. You are nothing without me.
He is right. I feel nothing. I am nothing.
And that's where we believed Maiev's hunt for Illidan came to an end, until the announcement for Legion. The description on the website says: after the fall of the Black Temple, the corpse of the Lord of Outland, Illidan Stormrage, disappeared. No one knows the true fate of Illidan's remains, but legend holds that Warden Maiev Shadowsong took his broken body to the vault of the Wardens, so that Illidan's dark, lingering soul could suffer the rest of his eternal sentence. Along with his followers, the feared Illidari, justice to be forever served. Time will tell how that story is going to unfold in Legion. I'll speculate a little bit about it at the end. First we have to talk about the rest of Maiev's storyline, since this is not the last time that we saw her. This story is described within the novel Wolfheart, which takes place after the events of Warcraft 3, so the Night Elves are now mortal at this time, and after the events of the novel Stormrage. So Malfurion, he's been rescued from the Emerald Nightmare, he married Tyrande, and he became the co-leader of the Night Elves. Maiev has also returned home after taking care of Illidan, and she's still devoted to her service. She's been training herself, she's been trying to eradicate the dark memories left behind by Illidan, while also training new recruits into the ranks of the Watchers.
For the Watchers!
Like I said, the Night Elves are now mortal, so dying of old age, something that they didn't have to deal with for the longest of time, it has now become a thing. After more than 10,000 years, Jared Shadowsong makes his way back to the society with his dying wife Shelazir in his arms. He is desperately searching for Tyrande and Malfurion for a glimmer of hope of healing his wife, but by the time that he reaches them, it's already too late. Shelliger knew that her time had come and that no healing in the world could prevent her passing. She didn't want Jared to end up alone though, so she asked of him to bring her back so that Jared, once he had done that, wouldn't have to deal with her passing on his own. Neva, Maiev's top student amongst the Watchers, she brings word of Jared's return, and Jared and Maiev, after 10,000 years, they finally reunite. As they talk, Maiev explains how she was proud of her little brother during the War of the Ancients. The way that he took up the mantle of leadership was a great display of the name Shadowsong, but when he left them all behind without saying a word, she felt ashamed. She had given her life to the cause, to duty, and someone like Jared, who just stood up and left, dropping all his responsibilities, that brought her great shame. After their little reunion, Maiev says to Jared that they'll talk later. Now, Malfurion, Jared and Maiev, they were not the only ones trying to make a return into the Night Elf society. Some of the Highborn who had survived after the War of the Ancients in an area called Eldrefalas, now known as Dire Maul, they've come on peaceful terms to try and bring the old ways back to the Night Elves. Despite making the use of arcane magic punishable by death, despite imprisoning Illidan for his lust for power, despite banishing the Highborn that could not give up their ancient ways. Now, over 10,000 years later, Malfurion and Tyrande are working on bringing back the Highborn. Of course, this did not go without protest. Many of the Night Elves still clearly remember what the War of the Ancients was like, and they do not respond well to their leader's choices. Eventually, a dead Highborn is found near the Watcher's training grounds, and on his chest he had a note saying "Suffer not traitors," which of course puts both sides on edge. Maiev begs for them to let her lead this investigation, to which Tyrande agrees. Despite Maiev's history, they still recognize her skills, and when someone like Maiev is set on a task, she will not give up until it's finished.
Justice will be done.
Now, throughout the story, more of the Highborn are found dead, and even Jared Shadowsong is asked to aid his sister in figuring out who is behind this. Eventually, Jared meets up with a Warden named Edric, who has figured out who's behind it, but he couldn't tell anyone because he feared that no one would believe him. By this time, Malfurion has also gone missing, and Jared goes to Edric to find out if he knows where the Archdruid went. As they talk, as they try to figure it out, they're attacked from the forest, and it turns out that Neva is the one that attacks. The assassins that they were looking for were actually Maiev and some of her most devoted Watchers. They disagreed so strongly with bringing back the Highborn that Maiev decided that she should execute them for their crimes. Not only the Highborn, but also Malfurion, since he was as arrogant as Illidan, thinking that he was the one to decide what was right and what was wrong for their people. Was it not for him, they would have taken care of Illidan ages ago. He even refused the offer of Nosdormu to bless their new world tree Teldrassil, since he thought it was time for the Night Elves to truly live and no longer be immortal. In Maiev's mind, Malfurion was as guilty as Illidan and the Highborn, and she was the one to bring them to justice.
The guilty will suffer.
As Neva attacks, she kills Edric, but he manages to drag her down with him to a cliff down below. Jared can tell that the Warden has already passed, yet Neva still lives, so he climbs down and he tells her that he has seen these wounds so many times during the war. She will die a slow and painful death. Now he's willing to end her suffering if she tells him where he can find Maiev. Ever devoted to her teacher, Neva refuses to give up Maiev and her captured Highborn, but she does tell Jared where he can find Malfurion. After fulfilling his promise, after putting Neva out of her misery, Jared quickly goes to liberate Malfurion out of Maiev's trap, and together they find his sister slowly executing the Highborn. As Malfurion works on liberating these Highborn, Jared takes care of 2 Watchers, and then he confronts his own sister. He's getting pretty beat up fighting someone as skilled as Maiev and the Watchers that follow her, but he is able to wound Maiev and he forces her to flee. This is the final conversation that they have in the book. She paused and looked back. Through the slits of her helmet, her eyes were still defiant, still mocking. He held the glaive ready. "Surrender, Maiev. You have no choice. I do not want to kill you." She laughed. "And you will not. As I indicated, that is the difference between us, Jared. I do what has to be done, no matter what." Jared started to throw. From behind him, he heard movement and voices. By the sound of them, they were obviously not more of Maiev's followers, but rather searchers from Darnassus. Maiev's eyes flashed in triumph. You are a fool. I will see your people restored to their greatness. You have only delayed the inevitable. She teleported just as Jared finally threw. The glaive struck where her lower legs would have been. The blade cut harmlessly into the brush, and the weapon then bounced off to the side. Elune, forgive me, he muttered. Jared was unable to finish the job, and Maiev makes a clean escape. He feels like he has failed his mission, but he swears that he will find his sister. She must be brought to justice, and it must be done by him. Tyrande and Malfurion agree that it has to be so, but they do warn Jared to be careful, to not become obsessed like his sister was. Now the Highborn, they are saved from Maiev's trap, and despite everything that happened, they join the Night Elves, and magic has returned to their society. This is the reason why you can now make Night Elf mages. Jared is asked to become the leader of the Watchers, since not all of them were aware or behind Maiev's actions. Jared accepts, starting to train a whole new generation of those willing and able to stand up against threats like his sister. We've seen the brother show up during the Cataclysm, we've seen a Warden join Khadgar in Draenor, but the sister is still missing. It's hard to predict how and what Maiev might do in Legion, but I fear that she will not stand at our side. Not only is Illidan making a return, the demon hunters that we're going to play as, they're the same demon hunters that Maiev has imprisoned. She didn't like it when Tyrande let one of her demon hunters go. Imagine what the response is going to be when all of them are released and now open into the world. I always had hope of seeing Maiev and Illidan come together, since, as you might have noticed, their stories are very much connected. You can't talk about the one without the other. On top of that, Illidan's love for Tyrande, it has brought him nothing but suffering, so I would love to see him let go of the priestess, let her be with his twin brother, and give his heart to Maiev, but I fear that it's never gonna happen. Perhaps Maiev will be part of the Demon Hunter starting area, perhaps she'll show up later in the expansion, but you can be sure that she's going to be devoted to bring justice to the world. Not a justice as everyone would see it, but a justice envisioned by her, formed by giving up 10,000 years of her life, by keeping Illidan imprisoned, formed by being imprisoned and tortured by Illidan himself, formed by Malfurion and Tyrande allowing magic back into their society. How all of that will turn out, only time will tell, but I do hope that they'll give Maiev and Jared the time in the spotlight that they deserve. Which brings us to the end of Maiev's storyline, at least until Legion is released. For those of you who've been asking, I will cover the story of Legion as I've done with Mr. Pandaria, as I've done with Warden of Draenor, so I will cover the story as it's released, but we'll have to wait until the expansion is there. If you're looking for some more lore related to this subject, I've placed a few videos on the screen. First we have the story of Illidan. Like I said, if we're talking about Maiev, we're talking about Illidan, so there's his story. The story of Queen Azshara, the War of the Ancients from the Queen's point of view, as well as some minor events in the Cataclysm. She was behind the War of the Ancients, so a very important character. The story of the Naga. Azshara is not the only Naga, of course. Some of them teamed up with Illidan, so another important storyline. And then finally, a completely random video for those that want to be surprised. A link to my Twitter, my Facebook and my Twitch channel, they're all placed on the screen as well as in the description. Check it out, hope to see you there. Right everyone, thank you very much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed Maiev's storyline. Subscribe if you like my videos. And until next time guys, see ya!